Hi everybody, it's Mr. Clark, and we are into our fifth video, which today will be federal and unitary. So without further ado, let's do it. So again, today's video is federal and what's the difference between federal and unitary systems of government. To talk about the federal system, we'll talk about federalism. Federalism is the dispersal of power within the state. So that means shared responsibilities between the national government and state and local governments. These powers that they either share or have been given to one or the other include taxation, lawmaking, and security. And what these means are aspects of those powers, not all of them, but aspects are devolved to regional bodies such as states, like here in the United States, or provinces like Canada. One thing to keep in mind is that under federalism, it doesn't mean that every state or locality needs to have the exact same amount of powers in order to be considered a federalism. Asymmetric federalism is when power is divided unevenly between regional bodies, like Russia, for instance. What that means is some regions are given greater power than others. Often this has something to do with ethnicity and ethnic divisions within the country, which may mean in order to preserve peace in a region might mean giving them increased, given an ethnic minority dominated region, more powers, or a penalty by giving them fewer. Either way, that would be an example of asymmetric federalism. That would be like the state of Oregon having more power and authority in the United States than Nevada for some reason, usually having to do with ethnic divisions within the country. So if the difference between a unitary government and a federal government is that a unitary government means that political power is concentrated at the national level. So local authority is very limited. There's not shared power, and there's very, very little devolution between the two. Examples of unitary governments include China, Japan, and France, and of course the UK, which we've talked about. An argument for one over the other is that, or for unitary governments, is that federalism can weaken state efficiency and it could increase ethnic and regional conflict by giving too much autonomy and not focusing on one nation as opposed to focusing on allowing for different regional powers. The argument for federalism would be the opposite, that states can actually be laboratories where they can experiment different policies, and that giving ethnic minorities more authority and power in areas where they are the majority could actually do more to create peace. The last thing I want to talk about is devolution. I already mentioned it once, but devolution means moving political power closer to the people. So devolving it from the national government to local and state governments. The UK would be a good example. Remember, the UK through referendums gave Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales their own parliaments and increased the amount of authority they have. Now, it didn't reach the level of a federalism. It's still a unitary government, but it has devolved certain authorities to those regions. And that's it. Unitary versus federal. Federal shares powers between the national government and state and local governments. Unitary concentrates power in the hands of the national government.